Hello and welcome. So today we're going to talk about ethics, but maybe not in the way you're used to thinking about it. We're going to get past the simple do's and don'ts and really dig into what it means to do ethics in our messy, complicated real world.
So let me just start by asking you this. Is being a good person, an ethical person, just a matter of following the rules? Like there's some big instruction manual for life and as long as you follow it, you're all good? Well, as you've probably figured out, the reality is a lot more complex.
And that really brings us to the core idea here. On the one hand, you've got what we could call textbook ethics. Learning abstract principles, solving these neat little dilemmas that have a clear right answer. But on the other side, there's something researchers call ethics work. And this is totally different. This is about how ethics gets lived, day in and day out, in situations that are anything but clear. It's really the difference between just knowing the rules of the game and actually playing it.
So what exactly is this ethics work? Well, it's the constant, ongoing effort people put in to be ethical in their jobs. Think of it less like a finish line you cross and more like a muscle you're always exercising. This continuous practice of thinking and feeling and acting in a way that lines up with what you believe is right.
This analogy just nails it, doesn't it? Learning textbook ethics is like reading the official rule book for basketball. You can memorize every single rule. But ethics work, that's being on the court, with the clock ticking down, making split-second decisions, and reacting to a play you've never seen before. That's where the real skill is.
To really get a handle on this, the research breaks ethics work down into 7 distinct but totally interconnected actions. Let's walk through them.
Okay, first up, it all starts with what's called framing work. It's pretty much what it sounds like. It's like putting a frame around a picture. You decide what you're going to focus on, what's important, and what's just background noise.
For instance, check this out. A social worker in Peru was dealing with a child who desperately needed health care. The administrators, they framed it as a simple insurance problem. The rules said the child was ineligible. End of story. But the social worker, she completely reframed the situation. For her, this wasn't about insurance. It was about the child's fundamental right to health. And that one change in framing changed everything.
Number 2 is role work. This is about consciously choosing what hat you're going to wear in any given situation. Are you going to be an advocate, a neutral observer, a supporter? That choice you make actively defines how you're going to act.
And of course, in our case, the social worker in Peru didn't just passively accept her role as a rule follower. No way. She actively chose the role of an advocate. She decided her job was to fight for this child, even if it meant pushing back against the system.
Third, and this is a big one, there's emotion work. Because let's be real, ethics isn't just some cold, logical process. It's messy and it's tangled up in our feelings, managing our own reactions, like guilt or anger, and trying to respond skillfully to the emotions of others.
A case from the UK gives us a great example. A student social worker was helping an asylum-seeking family. She felt this pang of guilt when the mother started treating her like a friend, not a professional. The student had to manage that feeling of guilt, that awkwardness, while trying to maintain a professional boundary. That internal struggle, that is emotion work.
Number 4, we've got identity work. Now this one goes deep. This is the effort to define your ethical self. It's where you ask those really hard questions. What kind of professional do I want to be? What are my non-negotiables?
And wow, the Peruvian social worker just said it perfectly. She said, "This case struck at the heart of my professional identity." For her, this wasn't just about bending a rule. It was about who she was. Her entire professional identity was on the line.
Okay, number 5 is reason work. Now, this isn't about quoting Kant or Aristotle. This is the practical, on-the-ground thinking you use to build a logical case for what you're doing and, importantly, to justify it to your boss, your colleagues, or anyone else.
And that is precisely what the social worker did. She didn't just say, well, it feels like the right thing to do. She built a solid case, using actual arguments from children's rights and even international law to persuade her manager. That's reason work in action. Number 6 is relationship work. This is so crucial because ethics doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? It happens between people. So this is all about the hard work of building trust, showing care, and creating real understanding. It's the human connection piece of the puzzle.
If we look back at that UK student, her relationship work got incredibly complicated. She had built this amazing, trusting connection. But when the mother started to see her as a friend, it created a whole new ethical problem to solve. Navigating that relationship was the work.
And finally, number 7, Performance work. This is all about making your ethical process visible. It's about showing other people, your clients, your colleagues, that you are being thoughtful, that you are trustworthy, and that you are reflecting on your actions.
And in a way, the fact that these professionals even wrote about their experiences is a form of performance work. They are literally demonstrating to all of us how they thought through these tough situations, how they wrestled with them.
So, okay, we've got these 7 actions. But here's the key. They don't happen in a neat little checklist. In real life, they are all tangled up together, happening at the same time in a single, complex, ethical moment.
Let's look at that Peruvian case one last time, because it shows this so perfectly. The social worker's framing work, seeing this as a child's right, directly led to her role work as an advocate. And that was all fueled by her identity work, her core belief in what it means to be a social worker. And how did she pull it off? By using reason work to build a solid argument. You see how they all just flow into one another? It's all connected.
So, why is this so important? Why bother shifting our whole perspective from a simple rulebook to this much more complicated idea of ethics work?
Because it completely reframes what it means to be good. Ethics work shows us that being ethical isn't some final exam you pass once and you're done. It's a continuous, ongoing activity. It puts humanity, relationships, and self-reflection right at the center of the story. And ultimately, it tells us that a truly good professional isn't just someone who has memorized the rulebook, it's someone who actively and skillfully does the work of being ethical day in and day out.
And that leaves us with a final question to take with you into your own life. Where are you just following the rules, and where are you really rolling up your sleeves and doing the messy, complicated, and deeply human ethics work? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.